What is the Maharashtra Freedom of Religion Bill and why is it controversial? Years after the right wing organizations in Maharashtra rallied against cases of alleged love jihad, the state has brought about a bill which was tabled in the assembly last week. What are its key features? Stringent provisions for fine and imprisonment, a 60-day notice before conversion, all offences registered under this legislation to be cognizable and non bailable. Why are civil society organizations opposing it? They say it can encourage vigilante activism and undermine the fundamental rights given by the Constitution. The government says it will check forced conversions. What is the debate? Let's understand. Hello and welcome to this week's Pulse Maharashtra with me, Vinaya Deshpande Pandit. I'm the Maharashtra Chief of Bureau of the Hindu, and each week we take you through some of the most important stories of the state. In Maharashtra, a proposed law on religious conversion is fast emerging as one of the most politically charged and legally complex debates in the country, raising fundamental questions about faith, personal liberty, and the expanding role of the state in regulating private choices. The state government has introduced the Freedom of Religion Bill 2026 in the Assembly, presenting it as a measure designed to protect citizens from conversions carried out through force, fraud, inducement, or marriage. Ministers argue that the legislation is intended to safeguard vulnerable individuals and ensure that the religious change takes place only through genuine personal conviction.
महाराष्ट्र धर्मस्वातंत्र्य विधेयक 2026 आपण आणलेलं आहे. हे विधेयक आणत असताना याच्या पाठीमागे हे कुठल्या एखाद्या धर्माकरता किंवा एखाद्या धर्माच्या विरोधात नाही, तर हे विधेयक सगळ्या धर्मांना लागू आहे. बेकायदेशीर धर्मांतरणापासून संरक्षण करण्याकरता हे विधेयक आहे. त्यामुळे कोणी धर्मांतर करू नये याकरता हे विधेयक नाही, तर फसवणूक, बळजबरी किंवा तत्सम बाबींकरता आणि त्या माध्यमातून होणारं धर्मांतर हे त्यापासून नागरिकांचं रक्षण झालं पाहिजे.
But the idea of such a law did not emerge overnight. Its political roots can be traced back several years to sustained mobilization by right-wing groups that organized rallies across Maharashtra alleging large-scale religious conversions, particularly involving interfaith relationships. These campaigns gradually transformed the issue into an electoral talking point and eventually into a policy commitment. After returning to power with a strong mandate, the government led by Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis moved to translate that promise into legislation by first setting up a committee to study anti-conversion laws in other states before clearing the draft bill in the cabinet just recently. At the core of the proposed law lies a stringent procedural framework that would require any individual wishing to convert to give prior notice to a designated authority and later register the conversion within a fixed time period. Failure to comply with these steps could render conversion legally invalid, effectively placing a deeply personal decision under administrative oversight. The bill also introduces wide-ranging definitions of what constitutes unlawful conversion. Allurement, for example, has been described in expansive terms to include material benefits, promises of employment or marriage, free education from religious institutions, claims of divine healing, or even portraying one religion as superior to another. Similarly, coercion has been defined to cover not only physical force but also psychological pressure, threats of social exclusion, or fear of divine displeasure. Punishments proposed under the legislation are severe. In certain cases, which involve minors, women, members of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, or repeat offences, imprisonment could extend up to 10 years along with substantial financial penalties. Organizations found to have facilitated such conversions could face cancellation of registration and prosecution of those in charge. One of the most controversial provisions allows close relatives of a person who has converted to file a complaint alleging that the conversion was unlawful, after which the police would be required to register a case and investigate. Civil liberties advocates warn that such clauses could potentially be misused in situations involving interfaith marriages or family disputes. The bill further states that marriages conducted solely for the purpose of conversion may be declared null and void by the courts. This provision directly intersects with the politically sensitive narrative around so-called love jihad, a theory promoted by some political leaders who claim that interfaith relationships are sometimes used as a strategy for religious conversions, although researchers and rights groups have repeatedly said that there is little empirical evidence to support the claim. Supporters of the proposed law maintain that the right to religious freedom includes protection from forced conversion and argue that the legislation is consistent with constitutional principles. Critics, however, say the requirement of advance notice and state permission could undermine the fundamental right to freely profess and practice religion, which has been guaranteed under Article 25, while also raising concerns about privacy and personal autonomy. The debate in Maharashtra, unfolding at a time when similar anti-conversion laws in several other states are already facing constitutional challenges before the Supreme Court of India. Petitioners in those cases have argued that such statutes risk encouraging vigilantism and social polarization, concerns that civil society groups say are equally relevant to the proposed Maharashtra law. If enacted, Maharashtra would join a growing list of states that have introduced specific legislation to regulate religious conversion, signaling a broader shift in India's legal and political landscape where questions of identity, belief, and individual choices are increasingly intersecting with electoral narratives and government priorities. Ultimately, the controversy surrounding the proposed anti-conversion law is not only about religion, it is also about how a democratic society negotiates the delicate balance between protecting citizens from exploitation and preserving their freedom to make deeply personal decisions about faith and relationships. Thank you for watching.